And we have some on display for you here. When a woman is violated, and I say women, but it's children, and we have some men too that we found in our cases, but I'm going to say women for our purposes here. When a woman is sexually assaulted in the most intimate of ways, sometimes she may choose to go and have a rape kit done, a sexual assault kit done, in the hopes that results will be gleaned from that will help find her perpetrator. It can be a 4 to 10 hour process where the examiner probes every orifice of her body, hoping to find some semblance of evidence so the case can eventually go to court and the person convicted. 11,341 were found in Detroit 6 years ago. It's been a long journey to get to this point today. I want to acknowledge very quickly those organizations who assisted us monetarily, because the past is the past. We have a new executive, but the previous one didn't give one dime to this effort. We've received broad support from the Attorney General of the United States, Eric Holder, and the Department of Justice, the Office of Violence Against Women, Governor Schneider, Attorney General Schuette, who will be here later for his help, and I want to thank him. The Michigan legislature, this issue is not a partisan issue, and they've been very accepting and giving of their time and money. The Michigan Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Treatment Board, the Joyful Heart Foundation and its founder, Mariska Hargitay, and numerous awesome support from Detroit businessmen and women. And then we also have donations from Jane and John Q. Public, and you'll hear about that later. We had Project 400 and Project 1600 from the NIJ, the National Institute of Justice, and because of their support and their funding and our Action Research Project, we were able to test 2,000 kits. As a result of that, there were 670 CODIS hits. 188 serial rapists were identified, and this is just from 2,000 of the over 11,000. We have 15 convictions so far, and many, many investigations and prosecutions that are waiting to be had. And that's why we are here today to talk. It's important for me to note that this is not just a Detroit-only problem. There are estimated to be 400,000 untested rape kits in this country, and that is enough cases for each victim attached to fill up the big house at the University of Michigan 4 times. It's a huge undertaking, and also from our 2,000 cases that have already been tested, these rapists don't stop at Detroit lines, they don't stop at county lines, and they don't stop at state lines. These rapists have gone on to rape in 26 other states and the District of Columbia. And again, that's just out of the 2,000 that have been tested thus far. Since our problem was discovered in 2009, kits have been discovered in Tulsa, Cleveland, Memphis, Milwaukee, Seattle, Nashville, Phoenix, Denver, San Francisco, Dallas, San Antonio, and Salt Lake City. Truly a national problem. And we've even gotten calls from across the pond in London, England, about issues they have there. Early last year, the Governor Schneider signed House Bill 5445, and that is a bill that will ensure that this problem never happens in the state of Michigan again. We now have strict timelines in which the law enforcement must pick up these kits from the sexual assault nurse examiners, and timelines that the lab must process these kits if the funding is available. Again, we don't ever want this to happen again. Soon you'll also be hearing a lot more from the United Parcel Service, where we have partnered with them in a new initiative in order to track kits through the system. If you can track a package nationally and internationally, you should be able to track a rape kit as it goes through the system. And that's a pilot project that's being done in Detroit, costing the taxpayers $0. The last thing I want to say before I introduce our mayor is that this is not just about rape. Rapists, when they rape, break into your house and rape. They carjack you when they rape. They rape you and then they kill you. This is about all violent crime in southeastern Michigan. And it's my hope when we finish this project, we will bring down sexual assault in the city of Detroit and southeastern Michigan, and this will be the safe place we want it to be. Detroit, we want it to be a model, and we want the nation to know that we care about our women and children and all of our rape victims, and there will never be a rape victim again. They'll have to wait for justice. I want to thank you very much for coming. Introduce our esteemed mayor, Mike Duggan, City of Detroit Mayor.
Well, good morning. You know, we have much too much violence in this city, but we have a really unusual alignment, and I hope what you see today reflects what we do going forward. You know, expect the prosecutor to be a law enforcement expert. We have a county executive who was the former police chief and sheriff, and a few of you remember way back in the old days when I was the prosecutor before the current outstanding prosecutor we have today. But you have in city and county leadership people who understand law enforcement strategy. And what Prosecutor Worthy just outlined is the most important thing. If all we do is arrest criminals and prosecute individual cases, that's a good thing, but that isn't going to drive down the violence. Cities that have succeeded have had strategies across departments. And what is being outlined today is the kind of strategy that we need to do more of. I remember from my days as prosecutor, prosecuting sexual assault cases are some of the most difficult to get a conviction on. The officers and the prosecutors who work them are just extraordinary individuals, but you have cases where you have conflicting accounts between the accused and the victim. You've got many cases where the victim has been so traumatized they don't want to face their accuser. And when you have the physical evidence of a DNA kit, you've dramatically increased your chances of taking these predators off the street. It's why Prosecutors Worthy's leadership was so critical in getting the kits tested. Now that they're successfully being tested because of the help of a whole lot of people, now the question is, what do you do with the test results? If we don't take the next step and follow up and prosecute those individuals, we haven't accomplished anything. That's why what the Detroit Crime Commission and the Michigan Women's Foundation are doing is so important. Now is the time to step in and raise the money to give the prosecutor and her team the resources they need to take this evidence and bring these cases. I'm very confident that you're going to find a whole lot of people who are still out there victimizing the citizens in our community that we're going to be able to take off the street if we can just get the prosecutor the resources that she needs. And so I'm glad today to be in support of this. I'm going to be actively engaged with this group in trying to make our fundraising goal, and thank you to everybody who's involved.
First of all, good morning. It is really an honor and a privilege for me to be here, and I feel very, very good about the public-private partnership that's here. You've heard the prosecutor talk. You've heard the mayor talk. They both have law enforcement experience. Understand another side of this, which is as serious as sexual assaults are, nationally, probably 50% of them go unreported. And one of the reasons that they go unreported is, quite frankly, the women don't feel comfortable that the criminal justice system will have the ability to prosecute the perp without too much stress on them. And so the importance of the rape kits being evaluated timely and having a process in place where that works will start to, I believe, lower the number of people who don't report these serious assaults. And so the collaboration here of public-private, of the different offices that many times in the past have been in adversarial positions, I don't think you're going to see going forward. And I think it's tremendous to have a prosecutor with her reputation, her dogged determination on these issues. And I mean, and that's just true. I mean, that's clear that that's the case. The mayor of the city of Detroit, who has been a former prosecutor, understands law enforcement, and I think I know a little bit about it myself. And so what I'm here to do is pledge my total support to the prosecutor in this mission. No more can Wayne County have individual fiefdoms and elected officials fighting each other. The prosecutor's fight's my fight. And we will work together, and I will give her whatever support we can afford to give, both monetary, moral, and collaborative help to try to get these problems resolved. So I'm really happy to be here. I'm really happy that someone thought enough of me to have me here. And I'm totally committed to making this work. I mean, this county and this city is not going to work well going forward without public-private partnerships, and this is one that I think we can all be extremely proud of. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen seem to be We didn't want to do Vanna White today, you know? Campaign theme? Enough said. Enough. Enough sexual assault in Detroit. So why the Michigan Women's Foundation? Why are we here? Why are we involved with all these incredible law enforcement and government officials? The Michigan Women's Foundation is a 30-year-old public foundation. A public foundation is one that doesn't have a big endowment and has to actually go out and raise money to do the work that it believes in. Our mission is to build the foundation upon which women and girls in Michigan can thrive. So we are dedicated to leveling the playing field for women, and we do that through 3 initiatives. First, women's entrepreneurship. We've built a program around access to capital, started a microloan fund, an investment fund for women, and we run the largest and the only investment fund for women, by women, in the state of Michigan. Secondly, developing the next generation of young women leaders for our state. And thirdly, lending our support, our donors, our over 4,000 donors, to lead on issues that affect all women's lives. That's what brought us here today. At the request of the private foundation community, those are the ones that do have large endowments, they came to us last summer and asked us to take on this issue. Although nearly all the rape kit victims, as Kim said, are women, this is not a gender issue. It's a safety and it's a social justice issue. Michigan Women Foundation's board, as represented by some of the women in this room and their supporters, their longtime supporters, voted this fall to take this project on because we simply believe that it is unacceptable that crimes against women have been ignored. Women cannot thrive in Detroit or anywhere else if they are not safe. Detroit cannot thrive if its women aren't safe. Wayne County and the state of Michigan cannot thrive if even one rape kit goes untested, much less 11,000 of them. So we've created this unique public and private collaboration and partnership, and we're excited to work with everyone so that we can ensure that significant resources are available, not only to test these kits. We've tested many of them. I think we have about 8,000 under testing right now. We still have more than 2,000 left to test, but we need, as the mayor said, to investigate every single viable case and prosecute every offender to the fullest extent of the law. So MWF is going to take the lead in asking the corporations in our city and state who care about safe communities for their wives, their mothers, their daughters, their sisters, their coworkers, and their friends to donate to this effort. We're going to ask local businesses, families, friends, and foundations and individuals to get involved. Because the private foundation community has agreed to fund the marketing, the public relations, and the fundraising effort, and the infrastructure to make this campaign a success, every single dollar raised will go directly to pay for testing, investigation, and prosecution. MWF is going to hold all the donations to Enough Said, to this campaign, in a restricted account, and our partners from the Detroit Crime Commission, who you'll hear from in a few minutes, will put together a grant request for us to grant them the resources that the prosecutor needs to do this work. We're going to make grants to the Detroit Crime Commission, and they will disperse the funds and oversee the spending. Our group, Enough Said, is going to meet regularly to look at the progress, to oversee what's going on, and to report back to all of you and to our donors about what they have accomplished and how this is going. This is a system of checks and balances that will allay the fears of any donor that any donor might have, that this money will be spent with full transparency and oversight on exactly what we have promised them we will do: bring justice to these victims. So this morning, the MWF website went live to accept donations for this campaign. EnoughSaidDetroit.org is also live as of 10 a.m., and that will be a website for support of this cause for anyone who wants to play an active role in either helping us raise money or to promote public awareness for this cause. We already have a tremendous group of young Detroiters who are actively engaged in this project. They all seem to be standing in the back near the food. And I've challenged them to come up with something that will top even the Ice Bucket Challenge nationally, and be a little less torturous. This is a group that believes in Detroit, believes in helping women, and believes in solving this problem. Now let me introduce our partner, Andy Arena, the Executive Director of the Detroit Crime Commission.
Well, good morning. For those of you who don't know about the Detroit Crime Commission, many of you remember me from the FBI, but I've been involved here for about 2.5 years. We're a 501c3 not-for-profit organization that was formed a little over 3 years ago. And our focus is quality of life and public safety issues in and around the greater Detroit area. We've taken on a number of missions over the last few years. We're focused on gangs, violent gangs in the city of Detroit, to identify those gangs and assist the Detroit Police Department. Scrap metal, illegal dumping. We've assisted the land bank, the Detroit Land Bank, in focusing on blight issues in the city of Detroit. A number of different issues that basically go around two things: public safety and quality of life. How do we do that? We do behind-the-scenes investigative work. We've developed a very strong cadre of intelligence analysts. We do a lot of analytical work. We do fiduciary work. We handle money. We champion different causes, like the scrap metal bill. But basically, we're there to focus on bridging the gap between the public, the private, and the community groups, to bring everybody together to focus on these problems and to focus on the gaps that law enforcement, community groups just can't seem to get to. And so that's what we've done over the last 3 years. We were called a couple years ago by Kim Worthy, and when Kim Worthy calls, you take that call and you step up to the plate. And she asked us to help with this initiative. So we've been involved in what we call the Rape Kit Initiative now, enough said, since the beginning. And first of all, she asked us, can you be the fiduciary and hold the money, which we said we certainly can. We have a reputation. As I said, we're made up of former state, local, and federal law enforcement, as well as a strong cadre of intelligence analysts. But we have the experience, the reputation, the integrity to handle this money to make sure the bills get paid. So the first thing we did was we went out and we negotiated a contract with these private labs. At the time, it was $1,500 per kit to be tested. We negotiated under $500 a kit. So that's a pretty good savings. We were able to better leverage the funds that we had. The next thing we did was to help to go out and get some additional money for the kits to be tested. But as we've seen, it's not just about testing those kits. We've got to do the follow-up. As the mayor and the CEO of Wayne County said, we've got to follow this to the end. We've got to go out and prosecute these people, find them, and bring them to justice. And so that really and truly is the next step. We've got to get those funds. We've lost 5,000 police officers in the state of Michigan since September 11, 2001. Budget constraints, they're not coming back, folks. They're not coming back anytime soon. So it's up to us. It's up to the private sector. It's up to the community. It's up to the business community to step up and help to solve this problem. And so what role will we play? We will be, and I keep telling Ms. Worthy this, I see us playing a very small role in this. We will be the fiduciary. We will be the gatekeepers for the money. We will take the money from the Women's Foundation of Michigan, and we will make sure that the bills get paid. We will also make sure that nothing goes awry, that no money is misappropriated, misspent, stolen, whatever. Obviously, we've had those issues in Detroit in the past. We don't have those anymore. We will ensure we don't have those with this project. As has been said a number of times, transparency is the key. I was asked by a member of the media yesterday, how are we going to be able to know that you're doing the right thing here? We're a 501c3. We file a 990 every year. We're audited. And the reports that I make available to the Michigan Women's Foundation, you can have them too, members of the press. So transparency is key. It's our middle name. Anything you need from us, you just ask. We'll give it to you. But as I said, the key is I'm the father of 3 young girls. This is a very, very important project to me. So the key is to find these people, to identify these people, and to bring them to justice. And we are just very happy to play a very small role in this process. Thanks.
So in closing, you're aware that this is not Detroit's problem, it's the nation's problem. With 400,000 untested rape kits that we know of, we're sure there are plenty more that will be reported over the next years. However, this is a groundbreaking initiative that no one else is doing. Detroit is stepping out first as a leader. Enough said. Well, as we ask the private sector to join us, we ask them to forget the problem and remember the victims. The most important thing we do as Americans is help when we can, and we believe people will help with this extraordinarily important initiative. When Mariska Hargitay joined Kim here last spring, and there was, many of you from the press gave attention to that event that was done by our wonderful advisory group that Kim mentioned earlier. These guys are just remarkable, and I know they'd love to talk to the media because they have heart, conviction, and fortunately for all of us, networks. But when Mariska and Kim spoke to the media last spring, 1,000 donations from 45 states, the District of Columbia, 8 countries, and 3 deployed servicemen from around the world made a contribution. We're looking forward to many people joining in this important effort as they did. I'm happy now to direct